Previously, we took the field against the Brutii, defeating them in battle once again. We drove another Greek force from our lands, clearing the route for us to retake Apollonia from the Scipii, before turning our attention to the Thracians and lifting the siege at Thessalonica. We've made some good progress to date, and although that hasn't directly translated into holdings of land, soon we'll have cleared out most of the enemy forces, and we can then start to expand our territory further. With a lot to focus on Thrace this time, we're sending an army to Byzantium. Bylazora has expanded as a city, so we can upgrade that there, and then we have our second, larger army in the north, which we can now send to attack the Thracian forces. Before we dive straight into that battle, we'll do a little bit more recruitment in Greece to make sure that our armies in the south are maintained, but then it's to war with the Thracians. We managed to capture 2 of their forces in the fight, and while they have numerical superiority, the troops have merely light armoured hoplites, peltasts and some falxmen. The falxmen could be a challenge, but we should be able to overcome this. As we're fighting in the mountains, the terrain is extremely hilly. The enemy have taken up a position on the high ground. However, their second force is entering from lower down and separated from their main army. We're going to move quickly with our cavalry to cut them off and cut them down. We land some quick charges against their peltasts with our cavalry, and soon their men are running from the battlefield. Unfortunately, as they've only just entered the battlefield, they're very close to the edge, so we might not be able to chase down all the survivors. This could mean that we have to face this army again in the future. After a few more charges from our cavalry, the majority of this reinforcing army is running away. The troops that haven't yet routed turn and leave the battlefield, abandoning their main force to the mercy of our army. Seeing their reinforcements being cut to ribbons, the main Thracian force turns to try and support them against our cavalry. However, in doing so they become very disorganised and open up gaps, again for our cavalry to charge in and take advantage of. We're able to quickly rout a bunch of peltasts, and with so many of their troops routing, the Thracian morale is low, meaning that others of their troops will be easier to break, and we're able to rout 1 squad of falxmen as well, as it becomes cut off from the rest of their army. Having taken heavy losses and seeing the tide of battle turn steeply against them, the rest of the Thracian force retreats from the battlefield. This gives us an opportunity to do more damage to them with our cavalry as they try to run. It's a very clear victory for us. We've managed to do some significant damage to the Thracian forces, although we didn't get the resounding, crushing result that we might have hoped for, meaning that we'll have to take on some of these armies again in the future. We'll keep our forces marching north into Thrace, and then we can end turn. With the end turn, the Scipii land a large force outside Apollonia and use this to reinforce their garrison as they sally forth and attack our sieging army. The plan for this fight is very clear. The Scipii will sally forth from the town with only their small force, and they'll probably do this before their main army reinforces them. This will give us an opportunity to crush the small force and also break our way into Apollonia. Once inside, we can hold the centre and use our phalanx pikemen to drive away the larger Scipii army as it tries to break through. As the Scipii army comes out of the settlement, we use our cavalry to smash straight into them and knock them back inside. We'll drive on with our cavalry as they're quick and should be able to get through the gate and therefore leave it open for the rest of our army to follow. The weight of our cavalry charge causes the Scipii infantry to turn tail and flee. As they run, we'll cut them down, meaning that we don't have to fight too much more with them. We need to be quick and move fast to get to the middle of the town so that we can set up, ready to face the next Scipii wave. We've managed to get the majority of our army inside, but our infantry are nowhere near set up and ready. The Scipii have come through the other gate, are progressing towards the town centre. We're going to send a small squad of cavalry to charge headlong into the Scipii and delay their forces. This should give us enough time to set up behind them. With our cavalry sacrificed, we're able to get 1 squad of militia hoplites in position just in time for the Scipii to charge headlong into our pikes. We'll continue to put more troops in behind them to back up our front line. This should be able to hold off the Scipii. As we hold the town centre, we also have the countdown, so worst comes to worst, we just need to stop the Scipii from getting to the town centre in the next 3 minutes. As wave after wave of Scipii infantry crash into our pikes, the death toll rises, and soon the Scipii troops are breaking. We've also sent our cavalry around the back, and we'll use these to charge into the rear of the Scipii troops, completing the surround. That should be enough to break their morale, and should also mean that we're able to kill a large majority of this army. At the end of the fight, there are no Scipii forces remaining, and we're able to retake Apollonia. We'll occupy the settlement because we want to try and build it up, and it's already a very small town that's been conquered twice. The Greek cities have also come looking for peace. Given that we've been at war with them now for a while, there are no Greek forces left on mainland Greece, there's no real reason to not accept this. It just reduces the number of enemies that we have to take on all at once. At the start of our next turn, we're going to keep marching east towards Byzantium. We'll do so slowly as there's lots of forests and Thracian troops are hid in them. We can also build a watchtower on our current border, which will help with visibility in the future as well as now. We're going to build a port in Athens to help both with building up a navy and also with our economy, temples in Larissa and Thermon, and a further port at Apollonia, as we're going to need ships to get over the sea and into Italy for our invasion of the Romans. We've also taken some losses of troops in our army, and we're not able to retrain these at Apollonia, so we'll need to send them back to their respective towns to be retrained. That means phalanx pikemen are going to Thessalonica, and cavalry are going to Larissa. We'll continue to recruit more troops, phalanx pikemen at Thessalonica and cavalry again at Larissa, whilst waiting for our troops to return so they can be retrained. We've also got some spare light lancers down at Thermon that we can now bring up to join our main force to make sure that there's still a good cavalry contingent in it. With our admin done, we can turn our attention again to Thrace, where our spy has uncovered a second large Thracian army. We'll want to take that on the field of battle as soon as possible. The larger Thracian army is reinforcing in this fight, which gives us a bit of time to take out that small Thracian force first. With our cavalry looping around that small force, the Thracians are quick to act and charge against the main body of our army, driving back our peltasts, but their phalanxmen run headlong into a wall of pikes. Their force becomes disorganized, leaving us an easy task to pick off individual units with our cavalry. The vanguard of the main Thracian force has started to arrive on the battle. The first unit is a militia cavalry. These can be annoying, but we're able to catch it quickly with our cavalry and defeat it. Or we're able to pounce on another squad of peltasts. The main body of the Thracian force has now arrived, so we're forced to pull our cavalry back. This skirmishing has given us time to put up the main body of our army, so it's with our cavalry. However, the Thracians have numerous units of militia cavalry, which are going to be hard for us to chase down, and which are going to do quite a lot of damage against our cavalry if we don't catch them quickly. We get a few lucky breaks where the enemy don't act quickly enough, and our cavalry are able to pounce on their militia cavalry. However, some still remain on the field, which could be problematic. It's also getting time for the two infantry forces to clash. Our infantry is stronger than theirs, so we should be okay in the head-to-head combat. However, one squad of cavalry from the enemy has evaded ours and is circling around on the left-hand side. We'll put our peltasts towards that to help ward it off. However, if it charges in, that could be an issue. The fighting has started properly now on our right flank, and the enemy general is leading the charge. He smashes into one of our infantry units, causing a lot of damage. We're quick to follow up with our own cavalry, but in the fighting, one of our generals dies. We've managed to rout the enemy general, and that causes a morale shock through the Thracian forces, and many of their infantry are now breaking, as they've been beaten badly by our own. We can use our cavalry to mop up the rest of the forces, and we do secure a clear victory. However, the loss of one general's bodyguard isn't ideal, as they're by far our strongest unit still at this point in time. That victory opens up the path to Tylus, where we can siege next turn. We've made some good progress, recapturing Apollonia and soon expanding our territory in Thrace.